Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. I'm coming to you from Radio Row here in New Orleans. We're finishing up our day today by getting you guys the latest when it comes to Steelers news. First up, did Russell Wilson plant a fake story to shift blame from himself to Arthur Smith? Some very interesting stuff going on from a recent report from CBS. Then Jay Glazer from Fox Sports. I'm actually looking at the stage where he was on that show, and he sounds skeptical that the Steelers are going to bring back either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. We'll break that down in the middle of today's show. Then we'll wrap up here with Jameis Winston saying that he would love to play for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Make sure you guys go follow me on X for extensive Radio Row coverage from us here at Chat Sports. Of course, we got a bunch of Steelers stuff, and I got a special treat for you guys tomorrow that you guys are not going to want to miss. So make sure you go follow me at Jack_Sperry and subscribe to the channel for our video coming out tomorrow morning. All right, so let's talk about Russell Wilson here because Aditi Kinkhabwala from CBS thinks that Russell Wilson linked a quote-unquote patently false report to blame Arthur Smith for the offensive collapse at the end of the 2024 season. You guys can see here, Russell Wilson went from being one of the most productive quarterbacks, frankly, in the National Football League. The offense was top 5 in scoring offense during that time when he was the starting quarterback. And then after George Pickens got hurt, and then after he came back, it just wasn't the same, man. Like, the points per game went down dramatically, the yards per game dropped dramatically, and the EPA dropped 50 points in the same amount of games. It's just absolutely crazy how Russell Wilson, went from, oh my gosh, we were so wrong about Russell Wilson to, this fan base wanting him out indefinitely here in going into the 2025 offseason. So when it comes to Russell Wilson, guys, I don't think it was necessarily all his fault. He wasn't the biggest issue of the offense. The O-line wasn't very good. The run game certainly wasn't very good. All these different things went wrong, and Arthur Smith certainly had his level of blame to go around here, but it's not like Russell Wilson was part of the solution either. Gerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette says here that he, meaning Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith, kind of butted heads towards the end of the season last year. This is what he had to say in a recent article. Smith did not want Wilson changing plays at the line of scrimmage and deviating from the game plan. Wilson's desire to attack with the pass and throw down the field clashed with Smith's run-first mentality, causing philosophical friction between the two. And then CBS Sports reporter Aditi Kinkhabwala had this to say about Gerry Dulac's reporting. Journalism is about getting both sides of the story, and this is very clearly coming from one side. In talking to coaches and general managers around the league, there's just not a market for Russ's services right now. And so when I read something like that, I read this as a desperate ploy to explain why the season ended the way that it did, to assign blame elsewhere, and to perhaps try to create a market here in Pittsburgh for his services. And the truth is, it's just not true. So I have to agree with Aditi on this one, guys. I think that this was a plant from Russell Wilson's camp to try to make him look more favorable heading into free agency this year. I think that he wants to potentially go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he potentially wants to go play for the New York Giants, and maybe the type of market and especially the type of money that he wants to get paid heading into the future is just not there on the market right now. And maybe the Steelers are a team that just maybe isn't quite that interested in bringing back Russell Wilson in 2025. And I do think that Gerry Dulac was more than willing to be the useful idiot here and just say, oh, yeah, one-sided story that Russ's people are feeding me right now, and I'm going to say I have multiple sources because that's the way he's going to roll. I'm okay. I mean, that's going to be the narrative when it comes to this particular story. And I agree with Aditi that, there should have been some aspects of this that kind of, didn't completely crap on Arthur Smith, even though Art certainly wasn't perfect in 2024. I do think that, this was a very one-sided article and report that makes him look bad and Russell Wilson look better. Gerry also, put a bunch of stats and stuff about Russell Wilson, how good he was before, the Cincinnati game where he had his best game of the season and then followed by the collapse. But if this is true, guys, and Russell Wilson did kind of leak this story to the media, that's a big-time cheap shot by the former first QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, man. I don't think that's a really cool move to throw your offensive coordinator under the bus. Now, maybe Russ just feels like, oh, I'm not going to be going back to the Steelers anyway, so F him. And, I guess he's got the right to do that. But honestly, Gerry Dulac, I think, needed to do a better job, getting both sides of the story as opposed to just getting Russ's. And I think that multiple things can be true here, guys. Number one, Arthur Smith's offense was unimaginative. That part of the article that Gerry put out, I think, is 100% correct. As somebody that's watched the film on every single snap that the Steelers had this year offensively, is very clear that it was pretty unimaginative. There wasn't a lot of modern-day concepts that were being used, and that's just Arthur Smith's style of offense. He wants to go ground and pound. He doesn't want to get too fancy with it. He wants to enforce his will, and, Russell Wilson is all about the moon balls. He's all about letting Russ cook. He's all about, creativity, all these different things. Also, I definitely don't doubt that Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith butted heads last year. I definitely think that, it was always kind of a little bit of a weird fit with Art kind of wanting to run the football, and then Russ is more comfortable in shotgun, making pre-snap adjustments. He's super good at identifying defenses pre-snap, so he wanted to use that skill set. I understand why Russ wanted to do that. Also, Russ likely I actually don't think he has much of a market after 5 straight losses with him at quarterback with Pittsburgh, a good team like Pittsburgh. Like, what is Las Vegas going to look at and say, yeah, that's going to be the guy that's going to be a winning quarterback for us, or the New York Giants? Yeah, Russ can be a success here. I just don't know if that's going to be the case necessarily, guys. And then also, I think that Russ is probably trying to shift blame to help out his market because he doesn't have a strong market right now. I certainly think that's probably the case when it comes to this league. And then also, I do think it's true that Russ probably won't be back with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. And this was kind of evidenced here by the fact that Jay Glazer, who is probably more, in with Mike Tomlin as any other insider out there in the NFL space right now, he went on NBC today and he pretty much said Russell Wilson's not coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. This is what Glazer had to say here from Radio Row this morning. I don't think Russ returning to Pittsburgh is going to happen either. I think you'll see a new start for Russell somewhere else. And then also, he also hinted that Justin Fields his future with the Pittsburgh Steelers is very much still up in the air in the weeks to come. And, I think that, my guess has been that Mr. Justin Fields would be back here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith feel like he's the better fit for the type of offense they want to run. But Glazer today said in the same interview, no, I don't think. Then he stopped himself and said, I don't know. I don't think they know who their quarterback will be yet. And I think that is the case. I think that the Steelers still need to go through their free agency rankings. They still need to do their due diligence on Sam Darnold, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, all the guys that are going to be available to them this year. And they already have a good feeling about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and where those guys are at in their respective careers, but they haven't set their draft board yet. They haven't set their free agency rankings yet. I don't think a decision has been made as to who they truly want to bring in, but my best guess, guys, is still very much Justin Fields. I think Justin will be the quarterback for this team week 1 of the 2025 season, and I think they bring in a seasoned veteran like Tyrod Taylor, who else? Joe Flacco, somebody else to bring it in here. But before we get into the rest of the content today and a potential backup quarterback option for Justin Fields next season, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the best place for you to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do, guys, is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen whenever you get into an event you want to go see. And then Game Time's automatically going to filter through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets at the best prices so you and your family can get the best possible deals on any ticket you get to any live event. It's more than just sports, guys. You guys can go see the Pens play, or you guys can go see a concert. You can go see a comedy show, whatever you guys like to do. You guys can get tickets for live events on Game Time. And what I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And then also flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Like I said, guys, I think that the most likely scenario here is that Justin Fields will re-sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just feel like with the upside, with the potential, especially with the potential to use VR technology to help out his mental processing, he's still only 25 years old. The people in the locker room really like him. He's not going to be super expensive either against the cap. I just think that everything is kind of aligning right now for Justin Fields to get his shot to be the franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. So let me know down there in the comments section, what is the percent chance Pittsburgh's 2025 QB1 was on the roster last season? So either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. What are the chances that one of those guys is the week 1 starter for the Steelers next year? Put it on a scale of 0, meaning no chance they bring those guys back, to 100, meaning they're definitely bringing one of those guys back. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And with that, let's get into a potential backup quarterback option, in my opinion, and Jameis Winston. Of course, he played with the Cleveland Browns last year, showed some good things, but also some of the classic Jameis struggles that we've seen from him throughout his career. But he was here at Radio Row here in New Orleans, and he told somebody that he would love to play for Mike Tomlin, and he envisions wearing a Steelers Super Bowl ring. This is what he had to say. I love Pittsburgh because I admire Coach Mike Tomlin so much. The first Super Bowl ring I ever held in my hand was a 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl ring from Bruce Arians. That is definitely aligned with my visions. So I don't know what kind of visions Jameis is having. I mean, I kind of want those visions, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. But I would be okay with Jameis being here as the backup quarterback. I do not want him here as the week 1 starter or the long-term solution or anything of the like. I think Jameis is pretty established at this point as kind of a volatile talent and somebody that's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. I know that fits with what Arthur Smith and this offense wants to do at the play-action passing game, but he does throw too many interceptions. He does hold on to the ball for too long. He is, not the best decision maker, to say the least. So I would be okay with him being a backup quarterback option, because if Justin Fields or whoever the starter is goes down, he's more than serviceable as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But if you're going to be putting your Super Bowl hopes in the hands of Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback, that's not going to be very good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we get to another Cleveland Brown here who could be on his way out, and it just keeps getting better for Steelers fans, baby. First, Myles Garrett, and he's been telling everybody here at Radio Row, by the way, how much he wants to leave the Cleveland Browns, which is music to my ears. But now, Browns star cornerback Denzel Ward may want out as well. Denzel was here on Radio Row yesterday, and according to Mary Kay Cabot, Denzel Ward tells Cleveland.com that if the Browns trade Myles Garrett, which they probably will have to, he'll question whether or not he wants to stay. So could Denzel Ward potentially request a trade away from the Cleveland Browns after Myles Garrett is dealt somewhere else? I certainly think it's possible, guys, and it just keeps getting better for Steelers fans because the Browns keep getting worse and worse and worse. It looks like they're going to be bringing back Deshaun Watson next year. I know he's got kind of that Achilles injury thing again, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Browns do, because it seems like everything is crumbling there in Cleveland. And as a Steelers fan, I know that this team hasn't won a playoff game in a long time, but you know what? At least we're not the Browns. When it comes to Denzel Ward specifically and whether the Steelers should go out and trade for him, I just don't think Cleveland is really going to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, period. And I said this the other day about Myles Garrett. There's just no chance that Garrett becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler. There's no chance that Denzel Ward becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler, in my opinion. But that's okay. There's plenty of good cornerback options on the free agency market this year. And honestly, the Steelers, I think, need more of a number 2 type of corner to go along with the physical talent that is Joey Porter Jr. So I'm actually okay not having to get Denzel Ward on this football team. So if you hate the Cleveland Browns, or maybe if you love to hate those Cleveland Brownies, you guys can go down there, type those F the Browns for me down there in the comment section. I greatly appreciate your support, and thank you guys so much for making it to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk, coming to you from Radio Row here in New Orleans. We got more content coming your way throughout the weekend, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.